tantrums. We've all been there. As parents, there's no way to avoid these big emotional outbursts in our little ones. So what's the best way to handle them? Hey guys, it's Monica. I'm an experienced mom and nurse, and in this video I'm going to be sharing with you what I've learned about managing these big feelings and reactions in our kiddos from a peaceful parenting perspective that actually works and aligns with our long-term goals for our little ones. I've read a litany of parenting books and articles, and I found some great tips and insights on things we can do as parents that I'll be sharing with you in this video. And if you're new to my channel, I would love for you to consider subscribing. So the first thing that we need to understand is that our children are not little mini adults. Childhood is a unique experience in and of itself, and their brains just do not function as adults do. And they aren't little mini robots that do and say and think exactly what we want them to at all times. Most of us want our kids to have critical thinking skills and intrinsic motivation for doing what's right. We certainly don't want our children to learn to bury their feelings and never understand them or learn how to manage them. What we want is to teach them how to manage their feelings in an appropriate way. And this takes time and brain maturation and unconditional love to get there. So we have to keep in mind that the prefrontal cortex of the brain, the part that's responsible for controlling impulses and controlling our emotions, is a construction zone and still developing in small children. It starts to develop between the ages of 6 and 11, but isn't fully developed until closer to age 25. Remember the times we as adults have trouble controlling our own emotions and our own impulses. And we really have to work at this, even with 20, 30 plus years of experience and a fully developed brain. So I think it's really helpful to keep this in mind when we're trying to help our little ones who are struggling. So the first thing that I want to emphasize when dealing with a tantrum is empathy. So the fastest way to help a child who's on the verge or over the edge of a tantrum is really through empathy. Connect and redirect. And this is a reference to a book called Whole Brain Child that I definitely recommend reading if you haven't read. The connection part of it is essential for helping them and for nurturing your relationship with them, which is really the most important thing that you have, and getting them to trust and respect you as a parent and want to listen to you. So for us, it might seem like the most ridiculous thing in the world that they are laid out on the floor throwing a fit over the fact that you gave them the green cup over the blue cup, or that you didn't cut their sandwich right, or the cracker was broken, or that they can't do something that they really want to do, or whatever it is that's causing the meltdown. But remember, to them, those feelings of anger or sadness or disappointment are just as real to them as it is to us, and feels exactly the same to them as it does to us for something that genuinely upsets us. The context is different, but the feeling is the same. Now sometimes they are putting on a show, or they've learned that if they scream or throw this fit, then they're going to get what they want, which is a little bit different, which is why it's so important to set firm limits when appropriate and enforce them with love. So the next thing to remember is to accept the tears. Don't be afraid of crying or emotion or them getting upset. Sometimes they just need to cry and have their feeling and move through the feelings. Often as parents, we just want to stop it. We don't want to hear the crying. We don't want to see it. So we employ tactics to get them just to stop. We threaten, ignore, give in to them, or bargain with them just to make it stop or for them to do what we say. But in doing these things, we don't address the cause of the behavior or the outburst, but instead employ methods to manipulate them into complying with what we want. And when we don't address the root cause of the problem, those feelings don't just go away. They might stuff them, and they might seem okay for now, but all that stuff is still in there and festering, and it's gonna come out eventually one way or another. They need to be able to release all of these big feelings and work through them so that they don't fester and later explode. Give them a safe place to have their feelings. Let them know that even with these big feelings, they're still loved and you'll be there for them to help them through it. Immediately stop them from engaging in any unsafe behavior where they can hurt themselves or someone else or break something or be destructive, and move them away from others, telling them that you won't let them hurt their brother, sister, you, or whoever it is. Give them their space, sit near them or sit in the room with them, and just let them know that when they're ready, you're there to give them a big hug. Some people might hear this and think that this seems like coddling. The difference is that you're still staying firm and enforcing your boundaries and limits, and not just letting them run all over people or hurt anyone or do the thing that maybe is inappropriate or that they can't do or can't have, but you're doing it with love and empathy in a gentle way. Now sometimes you hear the recommendation to ignore a tantrum because it's a call for attention and you don't want to give in to that or give over to that. But the thing is, if they're seeking attention, then they probably need the attention. We as a species are built to have close connections with our immediate caregivers. Thinking about this from an evolutionary standpoint, if we didn't have those close connections in the not so distant past, and we didn't cry out and protest when we weren't getting that attention, we might get left behind in the woods and not make it. So from an evolutionary standpoint, it makes all the sense in the world that children have to have these close connections. So that desire for connection and closeness is actually a human need. We just have to give them appropriate ways to ask for it, but know that they really do need it. And it's also really important to take care of ourselves and make sure that our own cups are full so that we actually have the ability to provide this. This was much easier in the times when we actually had a tribe, and there were many other people who were able to provide that connection and attention for our children. Unfortunately, we don't all have that village anymore, but that instinctual need from our children hasn't gone away. Address the root cause of the behavior. Whatever they're upset about, acknowledge that thing and let them know that you understand what it is that they want or what they're upset about. Now, if it's something that they can't have in that moment or you've set a rational limit that isn't being followed, then empathize and let them know that you understand that they really want to do this thing and it's hard when you can't get what you want, and just let them know that you understand them. You're there for them to give them a hug or space if they need it. Know that they are safe with you to get out all of those feelings of upset and disappointment. With my own kids, I just repeat what they're upset about and give them words for their cries or their screams. And once they feel like you get it, they usually don't feel the need to keep trying to make you understand, as that's typically the point of the protest. Let them know that you get it, that you're on their side, that you understand that it's really hard for them, but that you just can't have this thing at this time, or you can't do this thing at this time. But that you do understand what they want and you do understand how hard it is for them. And once you connect with them, you can try to offer them something that might help, like a hug or a snuggle. And if they need help with calming themselves down, you can help them practice breathing or counting to help get them recentered. And once they've moved through the feelings and accepted it, then they'll get back to themselves and you can have a rational conversation. Or maybe that isn't the most appropriate time for the conversation and you can move that to later that day or another time where you feel like they might be more receptive to hearing whatever message you feel like needs to be gained from that situation or from that incident. Prepare yourself for these moments. So I think one of the hardest parts of parenting is actually controlling yourself. And I guess that's just life too, just learning to control yourself. When you find yourself getting triggered by a tantrum or kids not listening, take a moment to breathe through your feelings so you can be calm and centered as you help them through their moment. Model the behavior for them so that they can see how to work through these feelings and upset in an appropriate way. If you're in public, move to a more private or appropriate place to let them have their feelings or to talk so that you don't feel this like rushed need to stop the behavior immediately with threats or bribes. You can say something like, "You seem really upset right now. Let's go to the bathroom so we can have a little bit more privacy to talk about how you're feeling." Expectations. Have reasonable expectations for your child and assess their state in relation to your agenda. Are they hungry? Are they tired? Do they need to get outside and get out some energy? Are they upset about something that happened earlier? Are they nervous or anxious about something that's happening? Are you traveling? Are they outside of their comfort zone? Assessing all of these things will help them and help you in return. Try to understand what causes these behaviors and what might trigger them so that you can set up the environment when possible to better suit the child. We obviously can't always accomplish this, but try to do so when possible. And just keep in mind that they're kids and they don't have the resilience or the reserve that some adults, not all, have in these moments and when we're stressed, and keep their developmental stage in the forefront of your mind. This will help you and them stay in a more peaceful state. So that's all for this video. I really hope that it was helpful to you and your family. If you found this information valuable or useful, I would love for you to give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. I post new videos twice a week on parenting, healthy living, and life with little ones. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.